Let's talk about Hitler.
That'll make sense later.
I'm immaculately conceived.
I don't know what to do.
I swear I'm not stupid.
Take it or leave it. Sometimes you just want to leave it.
If I gotta borrow my mom's underwear, I'm borrowing her underwear.
You just, yeah.
Misa likes the Jar Jar Binks.
I'm not gonna edit it out.
Oh no.
I don't know. Like I think it was pretty great. Just staying on the
Sucks to
planet.
suck.
Why are you saying it with a question mark?
Clap, bitch.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Action.
And we're live. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is Why Are You Yelling? Welcome back to another F1 race review. Today we're going to be doing a recap and analysis of round 13 of the 2025 Formula One season, the Moët and Chandon Belgian Grand Prix. Woo!
That's not what I thought you were going to say. So I was like, where the fuck? What did you watch? I was like, Spa, Francorchamps.
Spa. It is, the track is called the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. And most people do just call it Spa.
Well, I was like, she's gonna say it, and then you're like, all right, and I was like, where were we? Did I miss this race?
Did you say where we were? No, I find it interesting how some places are referred to by the track name and others referred to by like the city or the country that they're in.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that too, and it messes me up ever since, especially because Formula One's redone their website, which we have complained about, and I will complain about again. And it used to kind of have all that in there already. And now I'm like, why? I don't like how you did it.
They hide the name of the circuit. So like it used to say, it had all the information about the race, and at the bottom it had information specifically about the circuit, and it used to say the circuit name. They redid their website. The circuit name is like hidden. Sometimes
it's like in the picture, and you can't copy and paste that bitch anymore.
It's annoying. Because
I ain't trying to type all that all the time. So, yeah. All right, guys. Before we hop into fun facts, we will talk about... So, side note, I didn't even realize it was a sprint weekend. So, I definitely didn't tell you guys the sprint format or anything like that in our race preview last time. So, sorry about that.
Yeah, we both were, as they say, caught out.
Yeah.
By this being a sprint, because I was not aware either. I thought I was just going to have to catch up on some practices. I made plans for Saturday, and then lo and behold, I'm like, oh no, I have to go watch the qualifying for the sprint and the sprint itself, and I caught up on that. And then the regular qualifying, I caught up on that the morning, like before the 9 a.m. for us race.
Yeah, that was a lot. And I'm like balancing that while traveling, and I'm in a hotel, and I took my Roku, and I'm also balancing this bridal shower and a wedding, and I was like, what the fuck? There's a sprint?
Sprints are just a lot more for some reason. It's just, I feel like you have to pay a lot closer attention, and as opposed to like a regular weekend with a free practice and stuff, you can kind of just have it on in the background and tune in when important things happen. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you miss watching free practice, it's not that big of a deal.
No.
But like with a spa weekend, you have to pay attention to
weekend.
Or sorry, at the end of a spa weekend. At the end of a sprint weekend, you have to pay attention to the sprint qualifying, the sprint itself, all before the race, the regular qualifying and the main race.
Yeah, it's like a mini race, so you have to pay attention. I was like, hello. So,
and there's extra press conferences too, because they do an extra one after sprint qualifying and after the sprint race.
I'm glad you watched them, because I completely forgot. I was literally in the car yesterday for 12 hours driving from where I was to home, and I'm like, I didn't catch up on any of that. And I immediately had to go to work this morning. But I know you all were really thankful for that. So hopping into our sprint race podium, taking first was my boy, Max Verstappen. Just beautiful. Woo-hoo. Beautiful. And then we have Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. And hopping into our main race podium, it was Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, and Charles Leclerc.
Let's go.
So that was very exciting. Now the constructors, nothing has changed that I can see. I mean, the top is still McLaren, followed by Ferrari, followed by Mercedes, Red Bull, Williams, Sauber, Racing Bulls, Aston Martin, Haas, and Alpine. So,
you know, as much as Ferrari has been struggling as a whole, for them to be second in the constructor standings.
That's what I'm saying.
And I mean, I know Lewis has struggled a lot more, but I mean, Charles has been doing consistently pretty well. podium here and there.
Lewis has been struggling, but there was that stat where the only 2 drivers to have scored points every weekend that I guess they've completed has been Lewis and Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like,
if we're excluding not including the
China.
disqualification for Lewis,
which that's what I assume when I saw the stat. I'm assuming maybe they're saying the races they started, because they didn't get points then. But yeah, so I'm like, Lewis is struggling, but it's just like Lewis is struggling for being Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now nothing really exciting has happened in the driver's standings. Oscar Piastri is still holding that lead, and Lando Norris is now 16 points behind. Oscar has 266 points. Lando has 250. I live in Delulu land, and I'm convinced that somehow, some way, Max Verstappen is going to hop up from his 185 points, and he's somehow going to just go, y'all thought.
Listen, it's always possible until it's mathematically impossible.
That's what Sebastian Vettel said. And he's king. So.
I kind of feel like a lot of us or a lot of people are still in this thought that maybe at some point Lando is gonna catch up, or he's gonna take over the lead in the championship. And it's like, this is his championship. Like, not necessarily me, but you know what I mean. Like, it feels like that's sort of the thought in the back of everyone's head. Is like, Oscar has the lead for now, but eventually Lando's gonna get it together and be consistent, and he's gonna. And I'm like, but this might be Oscar's championship, y'all.
I think at this point, I guess I'm not one of those. I think it's Oscar's championship, and now Lando, you gotta be more consistent. Like, at this point, I don't know. I mean, in a way, I want it for Lando, because I feel like if Lando doesn't become world champion this year, it's gonna be his legacy. Unfortunately, and it's not fair, but I just think that's the judgment that's been cast on him. And if Oscar doesn't, it's not going to affect his legacy. It's not going to affect how people view him. It's not going to be a main talking point of his career. I just feel like for Lando, this is a very pivotal moment. And I'd hate to see somebody who I think is talented and is going to have a long career. I'd hate to see something derailed or have like darkness surrounding it because of this moment.
Like, develop a complex about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true that, it's not every season that you find yourself on a top team in the top car, in the car that could win it all, like seriously contending for the championship. Like last year, he was in the fight for it.
But it just kind of happened.
But and this season though, McLaren is by far the superior car.
Yeah, for sure.
And you don't always find yourself in that position to actually be able to win it. And I would hate, like personally, if I was on a team and one of 2 drivers in a championship winning car and I didn't win it, that would mess me up. Like I would feel a kind of way about it. And then I could see that being a slippery slope.
Also just the media. It's the narrative. It's like, I don't know.
He just couldn't get it done. He couldn't seal the deal.
And it's like, and that's what would be annoying is it's like, if Oscar wins, it's going to be like, yeah, he did it. But if Lando doesn't win, it's going to be kind of like well, you should have won. Like people, it's like, why didn't you? You should have won. That's crazy. But if no one has that same expectation for Oscar, despite him clearly showing great race pace, despite him being like an F2, F3 champion in his rookie seasons there. I mean, he's clearly like a prodigy. And it's just like, for some reason, no one's thinking, well, Oscar should win. When in reality, Oscar should win. It's actually probably more on Lando, like impressive wise, if he does win, because he is going against kind of a prodigy. But no one's viewing it that way, really.
It's almost like, and I think we talked about this earlier in the season. If Lando wins, he should be winning. If Oscar wins, it's like a happy accident.
Even though they're in the exact same car. Yeah, it's the Lando hate feels sometimes forced. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, but
but I love Oscar.
I love him so much. I'm like rooting for him. I'm rooting for Lando too, but something about Oscar, I'm just like, let's do it, dude. Come on.
We even said that last year, though. We said last year that Piastri's a future champion, whether it's this year or a different year. Like there's no question.
And reminder for everyone, this is only his 3rd season in Formula One for Oscar.
Yeah.
The fact that he's so impressive so early on in his Formula One career is crazy.
But it's on par with his other career, like his feeder series career being so successful so early, but also Formula One's different, we know, but it depends on the car, but I don't know. But now we can hop into Anna's fun facts.
We're doing a lot of hopping.
Hop and hop. Did I say hop earlier?
We've hopped into everything so far.
Hop? Oh.
You said we're going to hop into our podium and hop into our constructors and hop into our fun facts.
We can slide into we can wait 90 minutes for this rain to go away, the rain delay to hop into the fun facts. We can jump. We don't have to hop.
Jump.
We can walk. We can run.
Everybody jump. Okay, so jumping into our fun, instead of hopping, we're full on jumping.
Yeah, we're just going to jump in, no hesitation.
Jumping into our fun facts, Oscar Piastri extended his lead in the Drivers' Championship by coming in second in the sprint race and by winning the Grand Prix this weekend. His 31 race scoring streak is the longest by any driver in F1 history other than Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton.
The GOATs.
Yeah. So this was Piastri's 6th Grand Prix victory of the season, the most by any Australian in any season in F1 history. Other Australian drivers have taken more career victories and some have secured world titles, but none can claim more wins in a single season than Oscar Piastri.
Damn.
Yeah. This was McLaren's 13th Grand Prix win at Spa-Francorchamps, their first since Jenson Button in 2012. With Lando Norris coming in second, this was McLaren's 6th 1-2 finish of the season, their most since Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna scored 10 1-2 finishes in 1988.
That would have been a season, let me tell you, between those two. You have to go back and watch it. That feels like it'd be fun.
This was Lando Norris's first career top 4 finish in a Grand Prix at Spa.
Oh. Spa's so great. Like,
it is a very cool track, which I think we talked about in our race preview in the last episode. It's very the elevation change is crazy.
Eau Rouge is nuts.
I mean, it's I would say it's on par with Monaco. There's that one bit at Monaco where basically they're like, it's so steep going up it, that part of the track, that you basically, when you're in the driver's seat, you can only see the sky. Like you can't, because they have such limited view. And they said basically it's the same thing at Spa, where that portion of the track, like you're kind of just relying on your muscle memory and your memory of the track because you literally can't see it. You can only see the sky.
It's the track I have the most experience on out of all the sim tracks that I've done on Travis's simulator. It is so fun. And it was interesting because it is the track that I have done the most. And so anywhere they were, I was like, I know where they are. And that was like the first time I like knew what corner somebody was at. I'm like, oh, that's like, it like must be crazy for people who are like familiar with that track, like just driving it in some way, shape or form, to see people like on the TV driving it. Cause it just feels different. Cause that was the first time that I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And I could like, it was just weird. It was a weird thing, but it's like, what did I think Alex Jakes at one point said, or even Joylin had said, like that is the track that sometimes like people go, I'm going to become a race car driver because I want to drive Spa.
I know it's a lot of drivers. It's one of their favorites on the calendar, and they also, it's getting taken off the calendar, isn't it? Or is this the one that they're alternating?
I think it's going to be alternating, and it's like, why would you do that? There's honestly so many other tracks that people are like, just do, why?
Yeah.
Like,
it is one of the longer, it might be the longest actual like tracks in terms of like the actual length of one lap. The qualifying time is around like 1:40. And I remember the number, they said it was around 4 miles for a single lap. And I remember thinking, wow, that's really long. And then I thought in context of, so at Spa, there was tragically 2 drivers have died there recently, like in the past decade. And so like, Pierre Gasly has arranged every year since that happened. One of his close friends, Antoine Hubert, I think is his name. One of his close friends is one of the ones who passed and died at that track. And so since that happened, every year he arranges like a memorial, like walk/run around the track. So, and he brings flowers and puts it at the side of the track where the crash happened and everything like that. And it's always very like emotional seeing the photos and stuff like that. But I remember when I heard them say that the track was over 4 miles long, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a very long track walk. Like to do a lap
organize
around there.
A run or whatever too.
Yeah, and then they have that steep part of the super freaking steep part of it, and I'm just like, bro, no way.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine even trying to walk up Eau Rouge, which is like the park that like goes up, I think I would pass out.
Yeah.
Someone would have to just carry me.
That's a struggle for sure.
Yeah, just. No.
And for 4 miles, just like at a flat out run. Like some of them are like straight up jogging. I would have been more like the Charles vibe. He was on his bike in jeans.
I'm going to do the Lewis. Where's the scooter?
Electric scooter.
I hit the Lewis pose at the wedding that I went to. And then
What's the Lewis pose?
The pregnant.
Oh.
And then afterwards I was like, shit, I'm not pregnant. I'm a lady. If I do that, people think I'm holding my belly. They don't know it's the Lewis. I wasn't doing the Lewis on purpose. It was just like something later. I was like, I told Travis, I was like, I hit the Lewis in that pose. He goes, what's the Lewis? And I went,
where he always.
And he goes, oh, yeah.
Okay, back into our fun facts. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc finished third at Spa for the third consecutive season. He loves a third place.
He's nothing but consistent.
Yeah. Only Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris have more podium finishes this season than Charles Leclerc. So both Piastri and Norris have 11 podium finishes, and Leclerc has 5.
Charles is killing it.
He's firmly in like the third place sort of vibe overall, I feel like.
Which is crazy to think he's 5th in the driver's standings.
Yeah.
He's going to hop up.
I think so. I feel like he's got a win in him somewhere.
I think he's got a win.
Somewhere this season, I feel like.
But I think both Ferrari boys have a win in them. And I think when they win, the other one will be, it's going to be a joint effort. It's going to be a Ferrari podium. But
yeah.
But I think I think Lewis will get a win, and I think Charles will get a win.
Okay. Or we're just delusional.
No. I'm not delusional. It's happening. I have to manifest it. I believe it.
Okay.
Look at our boys. This was last year.
Yeah.
Last year. Mm-hmm. Listen, they both got wins. And that's what we're going for.
Okay. Red Bull's Max Verstappen finished 4th at Spa for the second consecutive season. Verstappen has only scored 1 podium finish in the last 6 Grand Prix. He came in 2nd in Canada.
Max is that guy, but he did win the sprint race.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, that was beautiful with that overtake.
Yeah, it was like a double overtake vibe, wasn't it? I remember seeing the clip where it was like we had the 2 McLarens, and then it was Max and Charles did like a side sweep.
I'm pretty sure I can double check this. I think Max qualified 2nd, didn't he, in the sprint?
Yeah.
And so I'm saying so it was like a Piastri, Max. Oh, I misunderstood you. I thought you meant it was Max and Charles behind each other. I was like, no.
No. They split the McLarens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had 2 McLarens, and then Max and Charles were behind each of them. And then when Max did his overtake move, Charles was like, sounds good to me. And he did the same, basically exact thing. And then she went, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, that was really awesome. I was like, hey.
It was giving the same vibes as that one move that Alex Albon did when he overtook 2 cars in the same corner and like perfectly like sandwiched in between them. It was giving that same sort of just like, vibes, you know? Very satisfying to see.
It was, I just liked the angle of seeing like you have a single red and a single like navy, like dark blue just going at the orange. Mm-hmm. They're like, we shouldn't be up here, but we are. Damn it, get out the way.
So someone I didn't hear about at all this weekend, really, surprisingly, was George Russell.
Literally, I didn't even know he was there. I'm kidding. Obviously, I knew he was there, but yeah, I didn't hear about him like at all.
As much as he was in the news and being talked about so much at the previous race, when there was all the question about like if he would still be with Mercedes and if the Mercedes was going after Max, like all this stuff. George was talked about so much, and then this weekend heard nothing about him, but he quietly took home a P5 finish. He does not have a top 4 finish since winning in Canada.
Little do we know, George Russell is the one who got Christian Horner fired. He said, "My seat." Oh no,
I don't think so.
And he made some calls, and now Max is like, I guess I'll stay.
You know what's so funny is as much as before the whole Christian Horner of it all, that George was kind of like, I haven't signed my contract yet. We'll see what's going on, what's going to happen. And then Toto Wolff is kind of like, we'll kind of see what happens. And now Toto is firmly like, oh no, George and Kimmy are our drivers. What are you even talking about? He's like, we're committed to them. Like, they're for sure going to be our drivers next year. And I'm like, Toto, don't gaslight us.
I know, like,
Sir, don't gaslight us.
Interesting. Everybody's suddenly very quiet. Remember,
Yeah.
Jos Verstappen said he's never been loud and he's always quiet. And Nico Rosberg said, excuse me?
Nico Rosberg was just
He's
on
a pot stirrer.
He was on a warpath. He was like, I'm going to ask everybody all the questions that everyone is trying to tiptoe around. He straight up asked Jos Verstappen, why are you so quiet now? What you don't want to talk about Christian Horner? And Jos is like, I ain't got nothing to say.
And then Jos said, I'm always quiet. And Nico said, what?
Excuse you? And then he asked straight up Valtteri Bottas. He's like, so you're going to Cadillac next year? Valtteri's like, no comment.
He
He's
goes,
like,
shut up, bro. Shut up.
So moving on to Alex Albon came home in P6 for Williams, his 4th top 6 finish of the season. And
He's killing it.
yeah,
Quiet now he's like doing really good after Williams kind of had some
he had
performance issues.
They were having a moment,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a little blunt, but it's okay.
They figured it out.
It's all right.
It's all good. This was Williams's best result in a full-length Belgian Grand Prix in 10 years. The last time they did well in Belgium was when Felipe Massa took P6 in 2015.
Wow.
Okay.
Good for them.
So Lewis Hamilton finished in P7 for Ferrari, having started from the pit lane. Lewis was overtaking.
That's my guy.
He was just making move after move. It was like he was just like jaw like donna.
That's how I felt. I was like, Lewis at this point is the person that if I see, I'm like, oh shit.
He was like picking him out and hunting him down. He was like, okay, you're next.
And he was like overtaking in like unconventional like areas of the track, and they were like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
He was not playing. And Lewis in the rain though it's like same way with Max. You just got two drivers that are so experienced, that are so like talented, like just put them in a damn box with some wheels in the rain and they're going to overtake you. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, I know. So Lewis, he had like a little spin out moment. When was that? Was that in free practice?
Oh, God, no.
When was that? Was that in qualify? When did that happen?
Sprint qualifying.
Okay.
He spun and then it was just over.
Yeah, because
He didn't make it out of Q1.
That's what it was. Because I remember I saw the clip of them interviewing him like pretty much right after that happened, and he was very upset.
He was like, yep.
He like did not want to talk about it, but he basically said like that's the first time he's ever spun out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Ferrari brought some upgrades this weekend, and I believe in what I was reading is that the upgrade that Lewis got this weekend, part of it was affected the brakes, and it made the brakes I think a little bit like harsher. But this is the same upgrade that Charles has had for. He's had it for a couple of weeks or a couple of races.
Mm-hmm.
There was that. Hold on. I can tell you. Let me get that article up.
See, and that's always interesting because that's rarely, like, sometimes they talk about that and then other times, like, they don't cover it. So then you're like, well, why is one person suddenly different than the other person? It's like, because they didn't have enough. And I think sometimes they want to test the upgrade to make sure it's even worth making two of. Because it's a lot of money wasted if it doesn't work.
Yeah. So the configuration that Charles has been running with the new brakes that affected Lewis and had him spin out this time.
Mm-hmm.
Charles had started testing it in Canada, and he also got caught out by the new brakes and had a moment.
Okay.
And because I remember Charles had like a spin out moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that he was like, we're figuring it out. So I guess he figured it out between sprint qualifying and the main race.
Well, he also just like, it rained and he just told them exactly what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's drying out. I'm pitting now. And he was the first one to get on slicks. And let me tell you, what, P18 to P7?
Mm-hmm.
That's my guy.
Yeah, and Lewis is not only is he very good in the rain, he's experienced enough to be able to very quickly and confidently make the call of when the switchover point is. Because he's driven in the rain so much and he's had such a long career.
Yeah. Oh, that was just beautiful. I was like, yes, God. And I wish they would have started earlier. I think it still could have been a different race if they would have just let them race in the rain.
Yeah, I know that basically they did a rolling start because of the rain, but then they ended up being behind the safety car because the rain, like the track was still super wet. I think they were doing like a couple of formation lap type vibes.
Well, basically they sent him out. So they red flagged it, and then we waited 90 minutes, and then, well, it might have been not 90 minutes when the safety car went up, but they started under safety car because basically they're like, they're trying to see, can we do a standing start or do we have to do a rolling start?
Yeah.
4 laps later, they're like, let's do a rolling start, and both Lewis and Max are on the radio going, let's get a move on.
Because
Let's go.
I know Max had set up for a wet race.
Yep.
So he's like, come on, I need to get as many laps as I can while it's wet because I need to maximize my setup before everything dries up.
Exactly.
But like our front runners, so our, 2 McLarens and Charles, they were not set up for the wet race. And so they're like, no, let's make sure it's safe.
Was Charles not set up for a wet race?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
I'm not, because I thought I read something where he was, and that's why he was struggling so hard to keep that beast behind him, Max.
Yeah, Charles said that
But I could be wrong. I don't know what his setup was.
Yeah, Charles said that Max was basically matching him lap for lap. Like they were putting in identical lap times to where I think there was less than a 0.001 second difference on average between their lap paces, which means that Max was on that ass. And Charles was asked about it in the post-race interview, and he was basically like, I was putting in lap after lap, pushing it hard, and then he's like, I would see the splits, and he's like, I would see my time, and then I would see Max had the same exact time, and he's like, oh, and then I have to keep going. He was like, it was rough, but I like when people point out that when Max and Charles race each other, and we say this all the time, every time this happens, Charles is one of the only drivers that Max is not going to pull a desperate, one of us could die sort of move.
Charles take them both out.
Because Charles is like, well, we're both going to die then because I'm not. It goes back to just an incident. It goes back to Max is like, what the? He pushes me, I push him back, and he blah, blah, blah. And then Charles is just like, things just happen.
Oh, well. Yeah, every time Max gets close to Charles, I just imagine, incident. He's like, back off. Never mind. Granted, I will say, I think somebody was saying that because of Max's setup, if he would have been set up for the dry, it would have been over with.
Yeah.
But that being said, he didn't even try to be sneaky with it. He didn't even try to do anything over the top because he was like,
So going back to Lewis Hamilton real quick. So he was making a bunch of overtakes in the race, and then he just gets stuck behind Alex Albon. And I remember seeing a graphic come up, it was right when Lewis had made the overtake and gotten into P7. And there was a graphic that came up on screen that said it was estimated time until Hamilton is going to battle Albon for that position. And it said 2 laps, estimated in 2 laps. That's when the battle's going to start happening. He'll be close enough. And the next thing I know, I look up and it's 15 laps later. And I'm just like, were we going to get a battle? Were we supposed to get a battle?
I feel at that point, Lewis is just like, I'm staying here.
Yeah. He's settle in.
I'm in the points. I'm staying here. And everybody else is pitted. And I need these to live till the end of the race. Yeah. So Lewis killed it. I was like,
Yeah. It was nice to see a little bit of fight in him with how much he's been struggling.
Y'all need to shut your mouths. Shut your mouths about my boy. All right. Lewis
he's not washed up. He's still got it.
He's just adjusting to the Ferrari curse, trying to make it a blessing. He's just trying.
He's doing the Lord's work.
Yes.
Turning a curse into a blessing.
Yes.
It takes time. So Liam Lawson finished P8 for Racing Bulls. This was his second top 8 finish in the last 3 Grand Prix.
What?
Liam Lawson was P8 for Racing Bulls. His second top 8 finish in the last 3 Grand Prix.
His
second. There's a lot of numbers. There was a lot of numbers.
Because I was like, he DNF'd in Silverstone. So basically they're saying he scored points in the race before Silverstone in this one.
Yes.
Okay.
There were a lot of numbers in that sentence.
I was like, what the hell? I'm like, he didn't even finish Silverstone.
Yes, he had.
It's one of those pretty facts.
Yeah, it's they call that a LeBron stat. It's where it's very specific numbers, and you're like, is that impressive, or are you just being very specific? So moving on to Kick Sauber's Gabriel Bortoleto took P9 for his second career points finish. This was Sauber's first points at Spa since 2018 with Marcus Ericsson.
He cracked me up because he was just all team Nico at Silverstone, zoomed past Lando, didn't have any time for him, met Nico at the podium, was so excited for him. And then this race, he goes, get out of my way. Leave. If you can't pass him, move.
Yeah, there was one point, I remember that coming up on the radio where Gabby's basically like, can you tell him to get out of the way? Let me pass. I'm faster.
Well, he goes, if Nico can't make the pass, we need to swap and I can I need to go because I'm faster. So he's like, if he's not going to do it, I'm going to do it.
He said GTFO.
Yep. And then they said, swap. So it was just funny to see that fight in him because, we always hear about him being a prodigy and how successful he's been. So it's nice to see that bite.
Mm-hmm. Well, all the drivers say, once the visor comes down, the helmet's on, where you're in the car, all bets are off.
Yeah.
We're not friends no more.
Nope. Get out the way.
So Pierre Gasly, racing for Alpine, finished P10. This was his second consecutive points finish, driving for the last placed team.
Good Lord. These stats, I'm like, shady.
Sometimes. Listen, it's not shade if it's just a fact. They're in last place.
They are. They are that. And he is the only one that scored points out of that team, so.
Yeah, Franco Colapinto. We'll talk a little more about him in our rookie report.
A little.
Not much to talk about, but
not right now.
Yeah. So at Haas, Oliver Behrman finished 11th for the fourth consecutive race, tying the longest streak of finishes in the same position other than first place. Wait, that's so shady.
Who wrote this?
So he's finished 11th, 4 consecutive races, and that is the longest streak of finishing in the same place other than first place.
Huh.
So no one else has finished more in the same exact position.
Unless you're first.
Unless they were in first. And he's in 11th, which is just outside the points.
Damn. You're almost there, buddy.
You've been consistently almost there for 4 races.
4 races now.
Something's got to give.
He got it.
Yeah, he can do it.
He's fine.
Well, that is if he can stop making mistakes. I know that it seems that the last several races, he's just had it's either he's been unlucky and been caught out by yellow flag, red flag, or he's been made a mistake under those conditions that end up penalizing him way more. I know
that's what's lame is most of the time he makes a mistake, gets penalized, and he gets a 10-place grid penalty under a red flag and some kind of infringement. And I'm like, bruh.
Because he made the mistake in the worst possible moment he could have made it. Finishing P12 for Kick Sauber was Nico Hülkenberg. This was his best result at Spa since 2019.
Nico.
We still have to get him up on the wall.
He'll be up here next time.
So Kimi Antonelli, racing for Mercedes, finished P16. He has only 1 points finish in the last 7 Grand Prix. And the last one would have been P3 in Canada when he got the podium.
Yep. So
that was the peak, and it has been a downward sort of slide since that moment. And Mr. Kimi Antonelli is struggling a lot.
Yeah, I think Kimi will be okay.
Yeah,
it's just you got to have them lows to get them highs.
Yeah, I think we talked about it the last race review. He's just so young. And he has being that young, you just have less experience. And so, it's just there's a steep learning curve. And to be thrown into a top team like Mercedes when you're only 18, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, it'll come. His time will come. It's just not yet. He's got to get through the awkward growing pains of adjusting.
He'll be okay.
Yeah. Oh, our last fun fact. This is the second race of the season in which every driver was a classified finisher.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that. I was like, oh, we don't have any DNFs.
Yeah, the last time this happened was in Japan.
Ew. Well, that was good because last race was rough.
Yeah.
Silverstone was rough,
Everybody
but it
crashing
was
out.
fun. Yeah, and they were like all rookies. I think it was all the rookies but Behrman.
Who
He
finished
finished
11th?
11th. At least he finished. Damn it. So, I guess we already discussed some of it because we already said Lewis is the man, which was just chef's kiss, no notes. Now, the most annoying thing to me, or the thing that stuck out to me the most, was like just. I know that they said because of Silverstone, I guess they had talked about the rain and like what they would do to delay it because, you know, Silverstone kind of had like, it was raining and it was like very hard to see and, you know, all that. And so, but it just felt like you had people that they were ready. We had 2 world champions who were ready. Max and Lewis were ready.
Like, let's go.
And then
start the race.
And it's frustrating too when like, I could understand as a driver when basically we knew the whole time it was going to rain on Sunday. Like we knew going into the weekend that was the forecast. So then you you have limited practice. So you literally have 1 practice session, then you're sprint qualifying, and then you're in the sprint. So you really have to make all these decisions fairly quickly without being able to really test the car, see what's going to work best. And so you kind of have to dedicate yourself to this setup. And then you do that based on the only information that you can get. And then to just hold off for an hour and a half, just so the conditions, it was wet for like 9 laps, y'all.
Yeah.
Like 9 or 10 laps. Other than that, it was basically a dry race. And it was kind of just like, I could see being a driver, the frustration of feeling like, why did we even bother talking about the weather at all if we were just going to hold out for a dry race no matter what?
Yeah, they even said, I want to say it was, I watched Joylan Palmer's race analysis. So he talks about like, and it usually comes out, I think, the Monday or Tuesday after a race. He talks about like the key sort of moments and he breaks it down, looks at telemetry, all the data, and talks you through kind of those moments in a very technical way. And so he was even talking about how, you know, the F2 and F3 also raced at Spa this weekend. And he said in the F2 race, the rain was worse and they kept going. And like that didn't affect their race at all in terms of delaying it or not. And he said, so how are we in Formula One? Why are we, what was the holdup basically?
Exactly.
And I will say that looking at it from the, you know, a different perspective. So like our 3 podium finishers were asked about it in the post-race press conference. Basically one of the journalists asked, you know, would you have preferred for the restart to happen sooner, or, you know, kind of what are your thoughts on that? And Charles and Oscar both basically said the same thing, which is that, you know, you're kind of always playing those situations by ear, and you're making split-second decisions that affect people's lives. And so, especially at Spa, where there have been driver deaths at this track in tricky conditions like that, they both said taking that especially into consideration, they would rather be safe than sorry. And so it's better to go 1 lap too long and everyone make it out of the race okay, versus, you know, if you go 1 lap too soon, then you're putting someone's life in danger. And it could have very dire consequences. So they're like, you know, it's ifs, ands, and buts, but they're like, at the end of the day, you know, we're trying to, we have talked about as drivers and consulting with, you know, F1 and the FIA, like we have voiced our opinions and thoughts about this stuff where we do want safe conditions for driving in the rain. And, you know, they are taking that into consideration too when they're deciding when to restart the race. So
I think that's a good point, but it's interesting to think that the FIA values the F1 drivers' lives more than they value F2 if they're going to let them race in the rain like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like, it's one of those things like just pick one then. Either that's kind, because then it's kind of like, so like, what does that stance say about the decision making? Because it's like, I don't know. I mean, I agree that, I 100% agree. I mean, we know Formula One. I mean, just getting in a race car in general, there is a level of responsibility and that you're acknowledging that this is dangerous, but I don't think it needs to be more dangerous for the sake of just to drive in the rain. But I also, everybody should be just as valued at that point then. Because, I mean, you're also dealing with less experienced drivers in Formula 2, Formula 3 that might not know what to do when the car slides. They might not know how to correct the car correctly so they don't get hurt. terribly. So it's like, if you're going to pick a stance, pick a stance.
But on the flip side, F2 cars don't go as fast, and so then are not kicking up as much spray, so the visibility might be better. They're still going fast enough to hydroplane, but they're not going as fast as Formula 1 cars.
No, but I mean, even going up Eau Rouge at 80 miles an hour, that's sketchy if you slide the wrong way. So it's just like, you can get severely hurt going 80 miles an hour. You can get severely hurt going 140 miles an hour. It just kind of depends where you are, how it happens. So it's kind of just like, and sometimes that lack of experience, the way that you don't correct it, even if you're going slower, because you make the wrong move to correct yourself, could be the reason that you get injured so horribly. So it's kind of, it's an interesting point in a way, because it's like, why did you even allow them to race then? Because it's just as dangerous, just from the lack of experience.
And ultimately, it's up to the race director at each individual race. So, the race director here, it's going to be different than the race director at the British GP.
Yeah.
Where when they were literally the last race, you could see the onboard cameras when they have the cameras they have on the driver's helmets that are like in their like eye line. There were some, and we talked about in that race review, there were some moments where it was like a wall of just like white fuzz.
Yeah, you could not
and
see.
you could every once in a while barely see the light from the car in front of you.
Yeah.
And if they were to suddenly stop, you wouldn't know it until you were up their rear end.
That was Max when he was too close to Oscar, and he was like, whoa.
Yeah. So, I mean, the conditions were much worse in Silverstone, or even in Brazil last year. So
that would just be an interesting question, because I mean, I'm sure I'm not saying that they don't care about that. I was just being kind of funny when I said that. I mean, I think they value all the drivers' lives. It would be an interesting question to ask, like the race director, like, what made you make that call for F2 and not F1? Like, it would just be interesting to see what their answer would be. But well, yeah, that was the main thing. Our fun facts kind of covered it. Do you have anything?
We wanted to talk about some of our sassy radios.
Ooh, leave me alone. That was like I think that was like the sassy.
Yeah.
That was the one. That was hysterical.
So Charles had a moment again with his
surprise
engineer where he didn't. So his engineer basically was just giving him too much information, and it was at a critical point in the race where Charles really needed to focus. And so his engineer, I think, just tells him how far behind him Max is. But this is after Max has been up Charles's ass the whole race. And then Charles just responds with, "Leave me alone." But he doesn't just leave it at that. He then goes on like a monologue about how like, you always give me either not enough information, or in moments like this, you give me too much information and I just don't need it. And like, he just goes on this little tirade.
And then at one point, he says something like, 1 minute I know exactly where he is, the next I don't know where he is. And then all of a sudden it's this. And he's like, just too much information. And it was just so funny, because you're like, oh, okay, he's saying leave me alone. He's concentrating. But let me tell you, the sass, he could do both. He was able to multitask in that moment. He was like, I got to get this out.
Leave me alone so I can focus. But God.
Exactly. And then when he was asked about it in the post-race interview, he had, like you said, he had that just an incident attitude. He was like, meh.
He's like, wait, I mean, they literally asked him, so what was that about, that race moment? We heard it. And he was like, oh, yeah, you heard that, huh?
He's like,
and
really?
He's like, he was just giving me more information than I needed, and I let him know that. That's basically what he said.
And he goes, and you know what? We're all good.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, Charles, I hear you.
He's so funny.
Leave me alone.
So the last sort of like big thing we want to talk about from the race was McLaren's tire strategy.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. Because like we talked about it before, seeing the two garages clearly just battling each other, trying to figure it out. And you know what? Kudos to Oscar.
Yeah, so Oscar. So,
ooh, is that their ship name? Losker?
Losker?
It's like lobster, but not. Losker.
I don't know.
Do you just make a ship name?
Let us know. I think they call them Land Oscar.
Losker is so much better than Land Oscar.
I'm pretty sure.
What kind of
I didn't come up with it.
Fan fiction people clearly didn't come up with that. Fan fiction people, they know how to make a ship name.
Yeah.
And Land Oscar? Oscar's his whole name's in the ship name.
Lando is too. It's the O that bridges them.
I don't like it.
Lando Oscar.
I like what you said. Losker.
Oscar.
That's way funnier.
So we had, Lando starting P1 in the main race, Oscar starting P2, and then Oscar's kind of like saw what Max did in the sprint and was like, bet. And so
pretty much like he literally did what Max did. He's like,
yeah.
See ya.
And Oscar was like, I just kept my foot in it, and he made the overtake, and he was like, had to be very brave in that moment, and it was kind of scary. He's like, I think he even said it was scarier in the car than it looked.
Of course.
Looking at the footage outside of the car.
Yeah, for sure.
But he committed. He made the move, was late on the brakes, and that kind of sealed the deal for the race for him. And when they are still allowed to race, as far as McLaren has told us, and as far as we can see. So it's interesting when you have one driver starting P1, the other overtakes, and then it's like, at a certain point, sometimes in the race, both sides of the garage are working together as a team, trying to figure out how to maximize points, help each other out. But then there comes a time like this where both sides of the garage are like Great Wall of China. Like, we do not see each other. We do not, because like it's our race versus your race. And, you've got Lando's side that's like, we qualified P1. We're going to do our best to try and get that back. And then you've got Oscar's side that's like, yes, sir.
Go, go, go.
Yeah, they're like, we overtook it and we're going to keep it. And so then you have the not so much working together on strategy. And so at one point you get Lando's engineer on the radio saying, Lando, if we pitted now for a hard tire, like, do you think we could go to the end on that, basically? And would you take that? And Lando's like, let's do it.
Yeah. Because they both made good calls. It just was what it was.
Yeah, they were. I like that Lando's side was like, we got to try something different. And
yeah, he would have never been able to.
I think he's the only one that went onto the hard tire, at least at that point in the race. I'm pretty sure he was the only one on the hard tire. Yeah. Everyone else was on mediums. And he was, I guess, they were trying to commit to making it just the one-stop strategy.
Yeah.
But the other people on mediums, I think, ended up making them last to the end of the race.
Most of them did, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little trickier. I know Lando was talking about how, like, toward the end of the race, he did have the advantage because the grip on the hards had finally like started to heat up, and he was starting to gain a little on Oscar, and you could see Oscar was struggling some with the tires, but it just wasn't enough.
Actually, I mean, because Lando made like a pretty big mistake. He would, and it could have been. The reason Lando didn't win isn't because Oscar overtook him in lap 1, which I mean you could say it is. He could have gotten that back, but he made a few mistakes, especially one big mistake that cost him like. I think they said like a second and some change at the end of the, because he was gaining on him, and it was just one of those things that's like
he went off track and made that mistake, and it slowed him down, and
yeah, I mean
he basically lost the ground he had been making up steadily over several laps.
I think there was another mistake, but that might have been on the last lap, so it wasn't going to really matter at the end.
Yeah,
at that point,
they also he had a slow pit stop, which I think he said that wasn't like the cause of him not winning or getting the lead back, but it certainly didn't help. But
I will say, I think, you reach a point where you can't say, oh, that pit stop affected it when you were first, you lost first, and it was because I can't say because why, I'm not him, I don't know what his mentality was like, but he seemed a bit more nervous about the rain than other people. And I don't think he was nervous, I mean, maybe a little bit.
You're just more hesitant.
Just more hesitant, and that it makes, and Oscar wasn't, and he said, see ya.
But Oscar and Max both showed in the sprint and in the main race that starting P2 at Spa has its advantages. And again, in the post-race press conference, they asked Oscar about that. Is it like, when you're qualifying for Spa, is there really like two kind of pole positions? Because if you qualify P2, it seems like, there's a 100% chance there was 100% conversion rate of converting P2 to the win this weekend. So, and Oscar was like, well, it kind of just depends, because Spa's been won from both positions, starting at P1 or P2. So it's not.
Listen, it's always been from second place, because last year George Russell won it, and then he didn't because he was disqualified, and then Lewis won it from second place. So we're just saying 2 years in a row. Well, I guess he didn't start from second. I don't know where Lewis started at Spa. But anyway, I don't think it was second place. Well, with all that being said, we can get into our rookie report. Kimi Antonelli, in the sprint, he qualified 20th and he finished 17th, so no points. And in the main race, he qualified 18th and he finished 16th, so no points, for a total of no points. So Kimi Antonelli was set to start from the pit lane, but due to weather conditions, the race began with a rolling start. His wet weather setup held early on as he gained ground, but once the track dried, he struggled on the straights and couldn't overtake despite close battles with cars like Ocon. A switch to a two-stop strategy didn't change his fortunes, and he remained stuck behind the Haas. He hasn't scored since his podium in Canada and called it a difficult weekend, but is focused on bouncing back in Budapest. Isaac Hadjar, in the sprint, he qualified 9th, and he finished 8th, so 1 point. And in the main race, he qualified 8th, and he finished 20th. So no points for a total of 1 point.
Woo!
Yippee!
We'll take it.
8th to 20th? Am I right?
Yeah.
I literally thought I was wrong just now.
Like,
Okay.
that's clearly got to be a mistake.
I'm like,
no,
ooh.
that's correct.
Okay. So Isaac had a Isaac had a frustrating race after a strong start saw him running in 8th ahead of teammate Liam Lawson. While the team called Lawson in first and kept him in the points, Hadjar pitted a lap later, just as the track dried, dropping him down the order. He couldn't get the mediums working and was forced into a second stop. It was later revealed that a technical issue had affected his pace for most of the race. Despite the setback, Hadjar said the car felt good underneath him and believes it could have been a double points finish. He's confident heading into Budapest. Franco Colapinto had an eventful but ultimately disappointing race, finishing 19th and still chasing his first points for Alpine. Starting 15th, he made a strong launch in the wet and closed in on the cars ahead. Alpine had opted for a low downforce setup to gain on the straights as the track dried, but Colapinto struggled for pace on the medium tires in traffic. A second stop to cover Carlos Sainz didn't help him move forward. He called it a tough and long race and said the team will keep working ahead. So, womp womp.
Mm.
Ollie Behrman, in the sprint, he qualified 7th and he finished 7th, so 2 points. In the main race, he qualified 12th and he finished 11th, so no points, for a total of 2 points.
Ding, ding.
Ollie Behrman finished P11 for the 4th straight race after a promising but frustrating run at Spa. A slightly late switch to slicks dropped him just outside the points, and an engine issue mid-race cost him 3 spots. He had been ahead of Gasly and on track for a P10 with Hülkenberg set to pit again. Though the car felt great, he lost time stuck behind Tsunoda and couldn't catch Gasly before the flag. Behrman remains confident heading into Hungary, where he expects the car to perform well. Gabriele Bortoleto, in the sprint, he qualified 10th and he finished 9th, so no points. In the main race, he qualified 10th and he finished 9th, so 2 points.
Woo.
For a total of 2 points. Gabriele Bortoleto scored his first point since Austria with a solid P9 at Spa. Although teammate Hülkenberg made the ideal switch to slicks, Bortoleto had stronger pace, prompting Sauber to swap their positions. He couldn't catch Lawson ahead, but held his place comfortably to the end. Bortoleto said the team made the right call and felt they maximized the car's potential. The result gives him a confidence boost heading into Hungary. Liam Lawson, in the sprint, he qualified 11th, and he finished 10th, so no points. And in the main race, he qualified 9th, and he finished 8th, so 4 points, for a total of 4 points. Liam Lawson finished in the points at Spa after a well-timed switch to slicks put him ahead of teammate Isaac Hadjar. Called in first as the track dried, Lawson held position and managed the race well from there. He said the car felt strong and clean air and praised the team's execution. So he's just head down, keep on going. And our last and our favorite rookie, Fernando Alonso. In the sprint, he qualified 14th and he finished 14th, so 0 points. Oddly enough, that's also his number, 14. In the main race, he qualified 19th and he finished 17th, so 0 points for a total of 0 points, which is disappointing because I think he had consecutive scoring points weekends after not scoring points for a very long time. Fernando Alonso was set to start from the pit lane, but the race began with a rolling start due to weather conditions. He finished P17 after a challenging race where Aston Martin's wet setup didn't suit the mostly dry conditions. Despite gaining a few spots, Alonso said the pace wasn't there and their new upgrade package didn't deliver the expected improvements. The team will review the data and aim to bounce back in Hungary. So, that wraps up the rookie report. We can move on to our best and worst segment. My driver of the day, obviously, is Lewis Hamilton because he's the GOAT, he's the king, and get out of his way.
My driver of the day is Oscar Piastri.
Yeah.
I know that he got overtaken in the sprint. We're not going to talk about the sprint. We're going to talk about the main race because that's what really matters. When he started P2, committed to the overtake, got in P1 in front of Lando, and then just never looked back. So I'm like, let's go, Oscar.
See, I love the sprint race because my boy Max said, peace out. See ya. My biggest letdown, unfortunately, is Lando Norris because I'm like, buddy, come on, man.
And he didn't have a bad weekend.
It's not that it was bad. It was just that I'm like, quit losing. Don't let this be your reputation every time you get P1, my guy. Come on. You got this. You can do it. But yeah, that was my biggest letdown. Is because I'm like, nobody else really did anything that made me go, come on.
My biggest letdown was Isaac Hajar.
That, yeah. Mid me reading, I went, what?
Yeah, and it's mainly, he did okay in the sprint. He got the last point that was available, finishing P8 in the sprint.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the main race, to qualify P8 and then finish dead last, my guy.
Well, in his defense, there was a mechanical issue that they said they talked about afterward. Because I'm like, Isaac's not going to finish that.
He's not a last place finisher.
No, he's not. He's a points getter. And he is like he's the rookie of the year. So, yeah. Well, that leads us to the next race teaser. So the next race is round 14 at the Hungaroring, the Hungarian Grand Prix. So last year's main race results, it was Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton. And here are some track stats. The first GP was held in 1986. It is 70 laps long.
Wow, it's like half the length of the Belgium of Spa.
Double.
Well, the track length is like half.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was like, no, it's
the number of
it's
laps.
Not 20-something laps.
The number of laps is a little under double.
Yeah.
But no, the actual like length of the track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hadn't got to that stat yet.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
We went from 44 laps to 70, so my bad.
I said 70 laps. She went, that's half. And I was like, what? I was like, no, it's not.
Not half of nothing.
Okay, my bad. So the circuit length, even though Anna wanted to jump ahead, about 4.4 kilometers, which is about 2.7 miles. So it is about half of what Spa is distance-wise, not lap-wise.
Yes, just the length of the track.
God. Okay, the race distance is about 307 kilometers, which is about 91 miles or so. It's 190.5, but I guess you'd round up, so 191 miles. So the race lap record is held by Lewis Hamilton, which he set in 2020 at 1 minute and 16.627 seconds. It has one DRS zone. So
That's boring.
Yeah, womp womp. So about the track, it's often compared to a karting track thanks to its tight layout and twisty rhythm. With minimal straights and plenty of corner sequences, teams run Monaco-level downforce, favoring balance and grip over raw power. It's a technical challenge that rewards precision, flow, and a well-set-up car. So, can we overtake is the biggest thing. It's gonna be a little hard here. So, overtaking at the Hungaroring is notoriously difficult due to the narrow, twisty nature of the circuit. So, biggest things to note is qualifying is going to be key, and turn 1 is the most likely place to overtake. So, it's going to be one of those. It's not impossible, but it's going to be a rough one. But yeah, that about wraps that up. I don't have nearly as much to say. Like with Spa, I was like, look, I got all this to say. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's worth noting that Hungary was Oscar Piastri's first win ever in Formula One, but it was the controversial win.
Oh, yeah.
It was after Lando had already gotten his first win last year, and basically there was something that happened where Lando ended up getting in front of Oscar. I think it was at the pit stops how that worked out. There was something that happened in Hungary last year where it was basically supposed to be Oscar's win.
Yes. It was the pit stops, I think.
I think, yeah.
It was the teams. I think it was what they called. And then Oscar's like, hello.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what it was. It was they undercut Lando's side of the garage, undercut Oscar on the pit stop, or something happened like that.
Yeah, so it was all McLaren's fault.
Yeah, basically they engineered a problem, and basically it was Lando's engineer on the radio being like, Lando, give the place back to Oscar, like swap when you can, and Lando's like, tell him to catch up.
He said no.
You got to tell him to speed up and hurry up and get closer to me if we're gonna swap places, and
then his engineer's like, well, this is what happened, and Lando said, that's not my problem.
Yeah, and then the engineer basically was like beating him over the head with like trying to guilt trip him, like think about the team and think about every week when we're sitting in these meetings, and you're gonna need Oscar later on to help you secure the championship if it comes down to it, and all that stuff. And then finally on the last lap,
I mean, it was like, was it on the straight or was it?
I think so. It was
the finish line, or was it? I don't remember.
No, that was a different moment.
That was okay. Yeah, that was not it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because there was another moment too, but basically it was like he kind of gave it to him. Gave the place back to Oscar at the last minute. He waited as long as he possibly could to do it, and it was just a weird moment that then like kind of soured Oscar's first win in F1, because he's like, people are expecting him to be excited because he won, but he's like, I didn't actually win. It was because my teammate gave it back to me because mommy said so. Like, and it kind of just sucks.
But it was Oscar's race anyway. It was
and Oscar was much happier when he won his next race, because he's like, he kind of got to make up for the lack of excitement and stuff like that. So, but this is a scene of drama from last year. So returning to the scene of the crime.
Returning to the scene of the crime. So, we are in, is it a double or a triple header right now?
Yeah, it's just a double header, and then it's the summer break.
It's like 3 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll have this race, and then we'll have like basically 3 full weeks off.
Oh God!
So
Lord help us.
1, 2, 3. There will be, so basically we'll have 3 Sundays with no race, and then on the 4th Sunday, it'll be before Labor Day for us.
Lord help us. Well, guys, we will holla at you after Hungary.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out what content we're going to put out during the summer break, because we're going to be bored.
Yeah. There'll be something to talk about.
There'll be something. But okay. Well, that wraps it up, and we will talk at you next time.
Bye.
Bye.